All right, so welcome to another episode of The Path to You. Today we're with Scott Estrada. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
This is take two. Tried this a couple weeks ago and phone died or ran out of storage or something. So here we are again. And as I start every episode, Scott, how did you get here?
How did I get here? Well, I got in my car and I drove. No, I'm kidding. I got to Sacramento about end of 99, first part of 2000, and moved down from Seattle, Pacific Northwest area. So my daughter's mom was here, and so she wanted to move back here, so I sold everything off and started over, packed everything in a truck that I bought, and came down, didn't know anybody in California, and started a whole new life at the turn of the millennia. So that's how I got here.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I know we don't like labels, but if you were to put a label on to what you do.
The best one, or the quickest one, would probably be just a coach, but that's a big umbrella.
Yep.
And at least from the way I do it is it's an umbrella of holistic health, from working with somebody's all the way from their environment to obviously their movement, mobility, their breath work, their food, their nutrition, their sleep, their everything, whatever it takes to go in and forge transformation in somebody's life to make that life healthier. So holistic coach would be good. Lifestyle medicine is something that I'm really, that term is kind of arising now because we're working so much more with lifestyle now. So, but yeah, I think coach is good.
And how do people find you? Why would someone reach out to you?
Anybody that would want to improve their life on a number of levels. Like I said, could be physical movement. Maybe they're stuck in their movement, or they want to build some strength, and they want to do it in a more of a natural way. Out in outside natural environments. I train people outside. We're on the water now. I do stuff on the water with people, just because it's better to work out outside versus inside. That's been proven, and there's so much more to gain when we're outside. But yeah, anybody that wants to change their life and up level to, especially when it comes to food, I think that's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So a lot of direction around nutrition, and then of course the human inflammation condition. So in all of its various forms. Mm-hmm. So I get a lot of people that come for different issues, from gut health to heart health to lung function and overall performance. Brain health is a big one, mental health. So all the whole gamut of the body, pretty much. Yeah.
And so that's something that I wanted to dive into with you deeper, is brain health.
Brain health, yeah.
Because we think brain health, just think our brain, but we don't necessarily think the connection that it has to the rest of the body, specifically like what we eat. And so when you tell someone to change their diet so that it affects the way that their mental health is, they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Well, it's a big area, and we're just in the last 20 years have really learned a lot, but we're just seeing how much we don't know. Mm-hmm. There's still so much more to learn in that area. But yeah, it absolutely is a deep connection when you talk about gut-brain axis. Mm-hmm. And the blood-brain barrier, and what actually gets into the brain, what's excluded from getting into the brain by design, but what is leaking into the brain, unfortunately, because of our toxic environment. And all of these things are having profound effects on how we perform and how we think, and then ultimately how we perceive our reality out of that. Because of the information that's coming in, it's coming through a lens that's very, very clouded or very damaged or whatever, and that people are making their decisions based upon that skewed information. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's absolutely, in today's world going forward, if somebody wants to improve their mental performance and protect themselves from some of the mental decline that we see in society, and that's not just for old age now, we're seeing it in all kinds of people. You've got to clean up your diet. You have to be open to the amount of exposure of all these chemicals that we're being hit with and have been hit with for decades now. We're kind of living in a big petri dish. We are guinea pigs. We're the first humans to ever walk this planet with 70, 80, 90,000 chemicals in it. No other race on this planet in the eons it's been around has ever dealt with this. They've dealt with their other challenges, but never this one. This is a new one. So no one really understands the deep ramifications. I mean, we are changing our world, and we are a very intricate part of that world, and we're changing ourselves at the basic, most core level. So it's impacting our DNA, and it's impacting, you know, the offspring, our next generations of children that are being born, and how they're coming into the world, and a lot of this stuff is being passed on. So we've got a lot of work to do if we want to turn this around. You know, we're in a stage of the most disease and inflammation that any humans have ever seen. I mean, but yet we have all this convenience, this modern convenience. We have this dichotomy of technology and all these wonderful innovations and creations, but yet we're sick as ever. And we have the most wealth as ever. You know, so there's really these interesting polarities that we're seeing, right? And so I think it's easy to get distracted by all that we have and the conveniences we have and all the comforts we have, and not really look square in the eye at what's really happening at our core level to us as a human species.
It's interesting. I feel like Joe Rogan always says, like, it's a beautiful time to be alive, which it is, but at the same time, like, we've created all these chemicals, we've created so much access to information, which is a beautiful thing, but at the same time is almost detrimental to us as well. We have so much information at our fingertips that it's scary.
It's overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming for a human in today's world, especially a child, to grow up with this device that we're filming this on in their pocket that has the capacity to any information anywhere on the planet in a couple, you know, swipes of a screen, and so we get hooked into this stimulation because I feel as a coach, what I've witnessed is I feel it reinforces the belief that we're not enough. And it reinforces the belief that we have to search outside of us for our answers rather than inside. And so it's this addiction to the outside world that is keeping us disconnected from this inner core wisdom that is innately ours. And ultimately the inner core deep well of wellness and health, vibrant health that we're all born with, that is not being tapped into. So in a lot of ways, all these conveniences and technology is distracting on that level, and it's becoming very addicting. I mean, every time you get a like on social media, it's a dopamine hit for the brain, and we are hooked on those dopamine hits. Now there's more healthy ways to get those dopamine hits, and that's a lot of what needs to be talked about and hopefully explored by leaders in functional medicine and integrative medicine and coaches like myself that are out there that have the knowledge and experience to kind of get this message out there to the masses, to be like, you know, because if we continue to let it go like it's going, who knows where it doesn't look good. Let's just say that. I mean, no one really knows where it's all going, but it doesn't look good so far. I mean, there's a lot of pluses, like you said, but it has to be done in a responsible way. So
what is the responsible way?
$1 million question. I think that we've really got to start programming in breaks into our day of setting down this desire to always have technology at our arm's reach. We have, and the trouble with that is, the hard part of the challenge is we've built this network that we all have to be a part of if we want to communicate. As crazy as that may sound, it hit me the other day when I was walking into like AT&T store to upgrade my phone, or something was broken, and I'm in there and I'm waiting, and I'm like, it hit me that shit, they own us. They own us. Like, you can't be an independent business person and not really be a part of this network. You know, I mean, maybe if you're a cannabis grower, but still, I mean, most of us that are building our own brands, or independent business people, or independent contractors, or even people that work for companies, you kind of got to be a part of this network to communicate. That's a really, I feel trapped about, you know, and so, okay, so I've got to be a part of the network, but that means I'm going to have to up my game of true connectedness, which means I'm going to have to get out here into nature more. And we're mitigating the effects of what's driving all this this internal stress into the brain and mitochondria with the network and the dependency on all the technology.
So I think where I want to go from there is a lot of people might not know, one, what mitochondria is, or two, we hear gut biome, we hear like bacteria in the gut is good for you. What does that even mean?
So the mitochondria are, you got to go back to biology class where you saw the picture of the cell, and there's the, you know, the nucleus and all the little pieces of the cell, but you know, they would show these little bacteria looking elements. In a picture in a textbook there was maybe one or two, and these are mitochondria, and they're little, they look like bacteria actually, and there's still some theories about that they are ancient bacteria, and there's some scientists that believe they are, some believe they're not. There's still some debate around that, but nonetheless we do know that they are involved in this ATP production of cellular energy, right, that comes from, and there's different ways. The body can do that with glucose, the body can do that with fat in the form of ketones and different things, and we see that it's really what's driving a lot of the ketogenic intake right now in diets and whatnot, with a higher fat content, because it's, the mitochondria do love good healthy fats, but they also love glucose. They love both. They can run on both, but they need minerals. They need sunshine exposure, they need cold exposure, there's a lot of things that mitochondria need to really thrive well, and it's intricately involved into the environment, right? And so when we talk about an environment that's been a modernized environment where we're in cars and in homes and in buildings away from all this natural environment, we are shutting off a lot of the fuel and a lot of the elements that the mitochondria need to really thrive. And then enter in technology, modern technology, and that stretches it and amplifies it even more, because we're looking at blue light, artificial blue light that's coming in through the technology that we're gazing at, not just in the daytime but after the sunset. So when we shouldn't be looking at bright light, we are. That sends mixed messages to our brain and our mitochondria that really confuse and upset the balance of the system, right? And that rhythm. So you know, on that level we see kind of the downside of technology and how it's affecting us, and we're still learning how to mitigate and get that information out. So that's mitochondria, and there's in a nerve cell or a brain cell or maybe a heart cell, those mitochondria can be upwards of 2,000 to 3,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
in
one cell. Wow. Yeah, they're just massive, right? So, but in the average for the rest of the cells in the body, I would say maybe around 200 would be a good number. So it's way beyond that textbook model where we saw one or two. No, it's huge. These are huge drivers of information. And here's the other thing that we see that we've just been learning is there's a communication network from our gut biome, the bacteria that really are running our show in our body, the bacteria, the fungi, the viruses, the parasites, all the different forms of the microbes, which outnumber us, you know, 9 to 1. I mean, 90% of our cells are these guys, and only 10% are human, right? So they communicate to our mitochondria. There's a communication network there that's now just newly being discovered, and that communication network is something that is highly complex, highly integrated into, and so the gut biome, where a lot of these bacteria are held, isn't just here in our colon, our lower gut. It actually starts up here in the sinuses, and it goes all the way through the whole, from one end to the other, right? If you were to take that material out of you, that tissue out of you, and lay it out, it would equal the square footage of maybe 2 tennis courts. Whoa. It's a large, vast amount of space. Yeah. Now, granted, it's only the width of one cell, maybe, you know, 1/5 of a human hair, right? It's very like cellophane thin, which tells us that it's designed to have an intricate balance with the natural microbes from the environment to protect that. Yeah. And when that bacteria imbalance is upset, then we are more susceptible and exposed and vulnerable to toxics, you know, chemicals and compounds that would come in. So it's not just here. It's a big one actually is in the nasal cavity, because that's when an embryo grows. That's the first part of development, is that nasal organ system up here. Before the heart and the brain, that's the first part that's developed within a couple weeks of conception in an embryo. And that tells you the importance of our interaction, and by design, of how we're supposed to get signals from our natural environment, and then what those signals are integrated into our brain and gut, and what what those signals do, tell the brain to make certain amino acids, certain proteins or certain enzymes, or different hormones and things are regulated through
based
those
on
signals.
How we breathe
Through our nose. And the signals of the bacteria we get in, and the vortexing of the air that breathes, that comes in through the tubule structure of the nasal cavity, and how that sends a signal, a vibrational signal to the bacteria, which then signal to the mitochondria. I mean, there's an incredible communication network that we're just learning about that is so intricate that we have so much more to learn.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's there and it exists and it's very powerful. So we've got to honor it.
Yeah.
And we've got to hit it with a certain sense of humility and reverence, and go in and really learn what is there.
Right.
And through that, we'll learn how to deeply care for ourselves at even a higher level. And so we're not even talking about food.
Yeah.
We're talking about just running the connectivity of the human energy system through water and soil and sunlight and air.
Right.
I mean, these are the elements that we've gotten away from and we've got to bring back. And so, but yeah, a lot of the people that are struggling mentally out there with mental imbalances, brain chemical imbalances, is driven through the lack of bacterial intelligence and that lack of communication system that's been disrupted through a lot of the chemicalization we see in our soil and our food. And then you top on that the antibiotics that we make in massive quantities that goes in first and foremost into all of our livestock. But then is overprescribed through the medical system, and we've all been exposed to. And then you add in the chlorine in our tap water, that's an antibiotic. And then you add in the glyphosate, we're spraying 5 billion pounds of it a year into our soil, which has never been patented as an herbicide. It's only been patented as a human antibiotic. So so that's water soluble. So that's in all of our water systems, all of our lakes, rivers, streams, oceans. That's in almost every drink of water that we drink or every bite of food, because it's so pervasive now. We've been spraying it for the last several decades, so it's made its way into every crevice of our United States, which means it's made it into every crevice of our body. Every single person's walking around with glyphosate in them, and all kinds of other chemicals and dyes and man-made artificial compounds that our liver is designed to deal with on some capacity, but I don't think it was ever designed for the level that we're seeing now, and it gets overwhelmed. Which means we're leaking, and the glyphosate, we know through science, is showing that it causes more of that leaky gut syndrome. But it's not just leaky gut, it's leaky brain, it's leaky lungs, leaky liver, leaky blood. We're leaking all over the peripheral system. We're leaking all over, and so our bodies are being completely saturated with all kinds of compounds that shouldn't be there. And so and then you add on the technology piece, the stress of that. So it's not when you start connecting these dots, it's not hard to see how we're just completely stressed into more of a sympathetic fight or flight nervous system as a culture now. And you look at anti-anxiety meds and antidepressant meds that are being just massively consumed out there, right? I mean, that's a telltale sign that people, I mean, look at the suicide rates. Look at I mean, we make light of, and we kind of highlight the celebrities who take their life, sadly as that is, but every day people are taking their life, people you never met or heard of that that are just, their lives are just as valuable as the celebrity, but we don't take it as seriously for some reason, it's an epidemic. I mean, we are in a state of massive suffering. People are in pain, and that's okay, because in the pain we have growth, but it's being numbed out, or we self-medicate with drugs or alcohol or whatever, and we don't really dive deep enough to really understand what's driving it all, so that we can reverse and change our lifestyle, which is where the lifestyle medicine comes into play with how I coach and teach, is teaching people that we've got to get connected back into this natural environment. We've got to touch the earth. We've got to, we were sitting right here on this board, in the river, grounded, touching the bottom of the river with our feet in the water, so the negative ions are flooding into us, and the Earth's forces are pulling out the stresses that might be floating around in our body.
Can you talk about that further? Like, what is that process, the negative and the positive ions that are happening right now? It's
kind of an electron. So everything is subatomic particles. So you go into electrons. So we've all had that experience where we go to maybe like a beautiful waterfall or an ocean beach where the waves are crashing, and we feel just relaxed, peaceful, calm. We have that. Why? Well, yes, it's beautiful. Yes, there's that. But there's also an abundance in those places of negative ions, negative ion electrons that are that are kind of running in such abundance that are generated through that environment. And then our bodies are carriers, or like sponges, for those types of electrons. That's really our food supply, if you will, because all the food we eat ultimately has to be broken down into those subatomic particles and transferred from cell to cell at a very, very basic core level of our being. And those are electrons. So even if you ate a steak and potatoes, like, that all has to be broken down into some type of electric energy, right? And that's the subatomic electron. So when we're in those places and those electrons, negative ions, are flowing like that, and we can absorb them through our breath and through the orifices of our ears and our eyes and all that just surround our body, they're coming into us. And then if we're barefoot and touching and connected to the earth in those places, even better, because there's telluric forces that are kind of the magnetic frequency of the earth that's designed in harmony for us to exist and support our life. And all the bacteria that are there present, they absorb into us through the pores on our feet, which are abundant, right? Because we've spent so much time going from organisms that out of the oceans onto land and then growing into, evolving into the humans that we now have. But we have this long time of walking barefoot. I mean, you know, shoes are, it's a pretty new invention. I mean, and think about that one for a minute. I mean, not to get on too much of a tangent, but it's like, you know, we have children, that babies, and we just want to go shop for these cute little Nikes and all these little, I get it, it's cute, it's fun, but what a whole thing to do to a child is take their growing bones and form them into a little cage, and then take away their flexibility and their mobility of their foot arch that's still developing. You know, I mean, what are we thinking? Well, we're not thinking. We don't really understand, because any culture that would do that in mass quantities, like we're seeing in this modern world, doesn't really understand the nature of life, of how we're supposed to integrate into our natural environment. So, but yeah, when we're in those places, the negative ions come flooding into us, we feel amazing, and then we go back to our homes or our boxes of sterile environments where there aren't a lot of that, and we put back shoes on, and we go maybe weeks or months without touching the earth. I mean, especially in colder climates. I mean, we're lucky in a warmer climate. I mean, all summer I'm barefoot, and I try to be barefoot most of the year, as much, you know, as much as I can. But just to get outside in it, then we expose ourselves to more of those negative ions, and all the stress chemicals that are produced in our body, be it from technology or chemicals or just stressful thoughts or how we interpret, those are all positively charged ions. So those are like kind of the term free radicals and things. Those are scavenger molecules that are out kind of causing imbalance in the harmony of the design of the system. And so when we touch the earth, those are mitigated and neutralized and pulled out of us by design. That's how nature's set it up. I mean, this is our medicine cabinet. We're in it. We're in it. It's not in a bottle. It's in the river. It's in the oceans. It's in the environment. It's in the dirt. It's in the soil. It's in your garden, for God's sake. It's in the plant. It's like it's all around us. You know, it's not contained in some building with some medical center. That is such an arrogant view of this big world we live in. You know, medicine, you're medicine, I'm medicine, we're our own medicine, we're our own pharmacology. You know, no man-made pharmacology will ever touch the brilliance of the human design, ever. You know, but if we think that, then we're completely arrogant to the truth. You know, and the further we separate from that truth, the more we're going to suffer, right? So the end of suffering, or at least the mitigation or the reducing of suffering of the human condition, is demanding that we get more in touch with our natural environment on all levels. And a lot of it involves movement, but I'm going to say breath is really, you know, and this is where yoga has helped a lot. A lot of these Eastern practices have come in and, you know, emphasize more breath work, but there's so much more left to discover. How you breathe, I mean, the Chinese have a saying, you know, show me how you breathe and I'll show you the quality of your life. It's so true. It's like we take it for granted. We breathe thousands of times a day. We don't give it any thought. Where a lot of the times we're not even present with our breath. Right? Let alone what would be coming into our nasal cavities that are beneficial to us, right? So, you know, we've got to get back to this, what runs the human energy system, and integrate it so we can thrive, so we can get beyond and we can build the bacterial intelligence, feed the mitochondria what they need, get the mineralizations back in through high dose magnesium and all these things that, you know, we use to help remineralize the system because the soil's so depleted. We're not getting it from our soil anymore. But yeah, it's just one big system, all dependent upon all these little pieces,
Right.
and each one is super valuable.
Right.
You know, all the way down to these microscopic, invisible fungi, bacteria, parasites. We have 300,000 varieties of parasites that live on our body
Yeah.
by design to help us live.
Yeah.
That are there for us, supporting us, loving us.
And people hear parasite, they're like, "There's a
Ooh,
parasite on me."
yeah.
What? Like, no, it's there to help you.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few strains of parasites
Sure.
that are probably not as friendly
Yeah.
as the ones living on us, but they're here.
Right.
And viruses, there's friendly viruses. Not all
Right.
viruses are bad.
Right.
I mean, viruses, outnumber pretty much anything. The best estimate I heard was the amount of viruses that are on this planet right now are like 10 to the 31. So that's a 1 with 31 zeros. That's not even a name. We don't have a name for that
Yeah.
number. It's more stars in the universe.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's insane.
And you kind of think about it, like, if they were meant to kill us, don't you think they would have done it by now?
True story.
Like, yeah, sure, there's a few bad guys out there,
Right.
like, you know, Epstein-Barr and all the strands of that wreaking havoc, but ultimately, it's all part of the greater biome, the greater garden.
Yeah.
And everything is in balance. Nature has a way of balancing itself out.
Right.
Life finds a way. And so we just have to get ourselves out of the way of that and let things kind of learn from the system instead of taking this very myopic viewpoint that we know so much. We don't.
Yeah.
We know that much
Yeah.
of a massive amount of data. I mean, we have so much left to learn and evolve and grow.
Right.
You know, we've got to keep that open-mindedness as we go through this. Otherwise, we're gonna suffer.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's a really cool time to be alive, like you said. You know, but it's also very challenging. But
Yeah.
the cool part is we have solutions.
Yeah.
We aren't shortage of. We have solutions, and we will continue to find them and innovate. I mean, that's the drive for life. We're plugged into the ancient wisdom of this planet and
Yeah.
the galaxy and the cosmos and the universe. I mean, it's all flowing through us.
Yeah.
You know, at that electron exchange, at the very core level, we've got these things called gap junctions, and these gap junctions, if you can imagine, are like little fiber optic tubules, and there's literally hundreds, if not thousands of them that are communicating from cell to cell. And we couldn't even see this until just recently, you know, most recent past. But at the doorway of these tubules is this aperture of this gate, if you will, and it looks like a camera lens. It's the most beautiful, well, you know, the flower of life. So it's the flower of life. It is the sacred geometry. It exists at the very core level of us. So it's not, sacred geometry isn't out there, it's in us.
Yeah.
It is us. We are sacred geometry at the core level, and that is being disrupted. That beautiful balance is being disrupted by things like glyphosate and these other chemicals that come in and block that information of electron passing from cell to cell. So if that can't happen, the cells don't communicate. The mitochondria don't get the messages they need to adjust their workhorse, you know, plan of the day, right? And so our bodies can't really repair at the level they're designed to repair. So we don't ever really get to tap into this huge, deep well of wellness that we're all born with, right? So we just are kind of dancing around the outside, and we think that that's normal,
Right.
and we justify it, say, it's old age or this or that, or I've just had a hard week. No, we are radiant, vibrant beings at our core. That's what our birthright is, and we've got to tap into that. It's just waiting there, just simply waiting there for us to tap into. Every human. Suffering is completely optional.
Yeah.
It's so rad.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And it's even the words, like we were saying earlier, we were talking about communication, how important communication is. Communication with ourselves.
Yeah.
The words that you're using. I can't do this. No, it's not you can't. You choose not to.
Right. We can do anything.
You can do anything.
We can do anything. It's unlimited. We don't even know what the things we can do yet, because we're just, you know, we're still in our infancy of evolving. I mean, where we're going to be a couple hundred years from now, who knows? I mean, if we can mitigate this technology beast that we've created and do it in a healthy way and have a balance and get people back out growing food, and we can repair our soil and get our biome back in our soil.
Right.
You know, Rudolf Steiner was the early pioneer that saw the connection between soil health and gut health, and ultimately mental health. And he was the guy that said, the more out of balance the soil is with the microbes and the minerals and the natural balance that should be there, not only will our guts reflect that, but our brains will reflect that. We will see more mental illness start to explode in culture. Well, where are we?
Yeah.
We're there. It's been going on. You know, the whole range of autism to depression, anxiety, to dementia, to Alzheimer's, to suicide, and, you know, I mean, all of these things, are a direct reflection of how disconnected we are from our natural environment and how we've completely lost our soil. Our soil in this country and in this world has been just decimated.
Right.
And we can get it back.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
Yeah.
But we've got to change the way we're playing the game and the way we're living.
Yeah.
And ultimately our value system.
Right.
Especially when it comes tied into our economy.
Yeah.
You know, everything's driven by the dollar, and it should be driven with preserving of soil health. Should be the most profound value that we have.
Yeah.
If I had the ability to control it, I would, you know, if somebody waved a wand in front of me and said, here, you have 3 wishes, that would be number 1, is reinstall the vibrant health of our soil. You would see disease go away overnight.
Right.
You know, you would see inflammation just drop in just a heartbeat. It would just be so profound.
Yeah.
All because of the soil health. And you know, if we stopped spraying glyphosate today and all the other chemicals, it would take 50 years for the fungi and the microbes to mitigate and rebuild that soil. So we're 50 years out now if we stop today. But yet we're so ingrained into this money machine with it that day isn't happening yet.
Right.
But hopefully with more awareness, more education, more people getting out there being vocal about it and you know, changing the way they live their lifestyle, we can turn this thing.
Yeah.
You know, we can change the laws.
Because we were saying earlier, like, it's not just how you vote in a you know, poll office or polling system, it's how you vote with your dollar.
Yeah.
And how you're spending your money. If you're gonna buy food that's not organic, that you're not gonna make your own food, you're not gonna know who your farmer is, then that's how you're voting. You're voting for a poor lifestyle.
That's right. And doing it with complete unawareness to how connected it all is.
Right.
You know, it's like the power has always been with the people. I mean, always. But when we fall asleep to that, we give our power away. We outsource all of our food. We outsource our medical freedom. We outsource our we outsource everything that is rightfully ours.
Right.
And why do we outsource it? Because we feel that somebody else has answers better. You're the best doctor you'll ever know.
Right.
I'm the best doctor I'll ever know for me.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
Well, not that there's not brilliant scientists and researchers in this field.
Right.
Of course there is.
Right.
But ultimately, the wealth of wisdom for each one of us lies within, not externally. And that's the big dichotomy we see with technology, where we can, with a swipe and a couple of clicks, we can access whatever information we want.
Right.
Thinking that all the answers are external. They're not. They're internal. To solve this problem, it's an inside job. We've got to go deep inside. That's the journey we all must take.
Yeah.
And we must do it as a culture. We get enough of us digging inside. That's why meditation and all the internal practices of diving deep into shadow work and plant medicine and all of these things are coming out at a time when it's needed the most.
Right.
By design.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how much this universe loves us. It's going, okay, I'm delivering, I'm opening up pathways. I mean, that's how much love. Every one of these microbes that lives in our body has so much massive unconditional love for us that we wouldn't be able to handle it. We would weep on our knees for a week. Our heart would burst if we understood how much love a little fungi has for us.
Yeah.
They're here inhibiting our vessel, which has been given to us on loan.
Right.
We don't own it. We're caretakers of it.
Yeah.
But we're here to live in this symbiotic, beautiful, balanced relationship with all these microbes.
Right.
And understand that there's a massive amount of intelligence that they're here to give us.
Right.
And guidance.
Right.
And we are just barely beginning to wake up to that.
Yeah.
On just a small level. But all the systems that run our world have no clue that that's even going on.
Right.
And they're the power players that are pulling the big levers. But the power lies within us as individuals, and it's got to be a grassroots movement of people that wake up in mass numbers, and we can turn the tide because we have the power.
Yeah.
Corporations, we give corporations, the power because we buy their goods.
Right. We spend our money.
We don't have to buy their. What do we really need?
Yeah.
What we need is sunlight. That's free. The last time I looked.
Yeah. What
we really need is to touch barefoot to the earth. That's free.
Right.
The best medicines are free.
Right.
Breath is free. That's the best damn medicine you'll ever get.
Yeah.
Breathe deeply, breathe profoundly, release some nitric oxide.
Yeah.
It's all there. The system is set up to love and support us. Let that really land. People got to let that one really settle in. Every bit of this system is designed to love and support every step we take.
Yeah.
God, that is the most powerful truth. That is just such a freedom when you can just live in that.
When you think that nobody is there to support you, everything is there.
Everything is, every single thing.
But if we're disconnected from our food, if we're disconnected from our body itself and the environment, then of course you're not going to feel like connection.
No, you're going to be wandering, and then you at that gap junction level, the glyphosate's in you because it's in everybody. Right. It's water soluble. It's everywhere now. That disrupts that connection. So the so the loss of self, the disconnection of self is a real thing, and I personally feel it's driving a lot of our mental illness and driving a lot of our suicide rates.
Totally.
You know, because people are at that core lost that sense of purpose and just the sense of self of their place in the world.
Right.
You know, we're a 400 million to 1 shot that we'd even be born.
Yeah.
What more proof do you need that your presence is here? Your purpose and your tapestry and your piece of the tapestry of the universe is laid. It's already done.
Yeah.
You play a very important role in the song of this universe, of the cosmos.
Right.
You know, every piece is very significant. Nobody's better or worse than we're all equal in this. We're all the same.
Right.
You know, we got to get away from this separateness viewpoint and this hierarchy that we've come through different cultures of the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
It's like we all have.
Yeah.
You know, start believing it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the medicine. But it's true. It's all here. Nobody's coming to save us. Everybody's here, man.
Yeah.
It's on us.
We're all walking each other.
You know,
home.
we're all walking each other home, and you know, it's the bacteria are here and the microbes are here to deliver a message. And what a level of patience. Here we can do things that are going to tox out this world and, you know, cause massive stress to ourselves and the planet, and they still love us unconditionally. Yeah. Just like your puppy dog. Still.
Yeah.
You know, you could put heroin in your arm for 40 years and your body still loves you completely. It'll never leave you. Yeah,
it goes through pain and like detox because it's trying to get back to homeostasis.
Yes.
It's trying to get you back to health.
Totally. And that's a bumpy road.
Yeah.
Well, you earned it.
Yeah.
You know? So get with it, you know, and that's right. We need a massive cultural detox and a spiritual awakening. It's happening. Mm-hmm. The spiritual awakening, I feel, is happening. But that's where we're void. We're not lacking money. We're not lacking resources. We're lacking our deep connection to self and that deep introspective look into each one of us, into our core of who we are and what our purpose is. People looking for a miracle, your heart beats 100,000 times a day without any involvement from you. There's your miracle.
I say that every end of every yoga class. I say, place your hand on your heart. Thank your heart for beating without you even asking it to beat. Place your hand on your lungs. Your lungs are breathing without you even thinking about it. In spite of our
negative thoughts and all the crap that we do,
it's like still breathing and giving you life.
Massive unconditional love.
Yeah.
Man, it's like it's enough to just brings tears to the eyes. You know, it's like it's powerful shit, man. It's powerful. Yeah, it's good. So the good news is we can reverse a lot of these mental imbalances and challenges that you asked about at the beginning. We have total control if we choose to see it that way, and if we choose to, you know, behave and make choices aligned with the natural laws of this world. We can get that back and reverse that in one generation. Yeah. We really, really can, but we've got to get our soil back. Right. It's got to start there. Externally soil, but internally our own soil, and they're deeply connected. Right. Deeply connected. And then that brain is going to get all those messages from those microbes as that bacteria intelligence starts to grow. And, you know, it's so beautiful because we do have solutions, and now we have the technology as an amplification to get the message out very quickly. Yeah. You know, so that's the good news is we can use technology for good. We just can't look at that blue light coming out of the screen all day, you know, especially when the sun sets. It's like light a candle, put on the blue blocking glasses, like get that out, you know, get those bright lights in your house replaced with amber bulbs. You know, mitigate the Wi-Fi, turn off the Wi-Fi, you know, there's all kinds of solutions to cover the emissions that are coming from the smart meters that are blasting wirelessly 10,000 times a day, you know? Right. So all of these things matter to the electromagnetic biofield of the human body and how we thrive in this vehicle. We've got it. You can't meditate away radiation. Yeah. You can't meditate away glyphosate. Right. You can't namaste away, you know, all the leaky gut conditions. You can't do that. Yeah. I don't care how spiritual or how, you think you are.
Yeah,
It's like
I'm
you
learning
gotta
that you
you gotta change the physical, the carrying of the body. The spacesuit has to be done, and it has to be focused on the gut and the brain.
Right.
You know, those are the drivers. And so, but we know how to do it better than we did, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're there. We're learning, and there's a lot of good people in this movement. And I'm just one of many out there, and just trying to wake more and more people up to this truth of shifting lifestyle to be more integrated.
Right.
It's, so it's a passion.
Yeah. So how do people start?
I think the start is the freebies, right? Daily sunlight on their body, right. Naked body.
Yep.
Essential, deeply essential for hormones, and we're designed to take our glasses off, and these are just regular prescription, but there's a UVA coating on that, and look without sunglasses not directly into the high sun, but when the sun's rising in the morning and setting in the evening, we can gaze at that sun. But even just being outside with naked eyes, letting that sunlight come into our retinas by design, that is how we're supposed to let sunlight in. And if we have DHA, omega-3 fats, in our body where it should be at a 3-pound level, and most people are deficient, and that's another thing that we can bring that up. We can actually absorb more of that photonic energy information that converts to electrons. That's gonna, you get it on your sex organs, you get the sunlight exposed, into the female breast and to the male testicles. It's such a powerful way to absorb that information and that energy.
Yeah.
We're like a solar panel.
Yeah.
And that really is our first food, is sunlight. It's not the food that we eat, it's that. So getting outside, getting the sun. And if somebody lives in a northern environment where they're, it's overcast or snowy or cold, they need to look into getting a red light therapy box, which are now available in spades, and those are easy to get, and start using it that way, and upping that vitamin D. Right. So that would be first. Also breath work. That's the other freebie that I just can't emphasize enough. The breath work is, I've been really lucky to work with Dr. Busch and learn some of the superventilation techniques from him, which even goes beyond some of the great yogic breath and the Kundalini breath, which is amazing. Yeah. But to breathe in a way so powerfully that it stimulates massive nerve system impulses in a way that most humans have never experienced, which change the hormones and stimulate glands and really release nitric oxide into and dilate blood vessels to get more oxygen and blood flowing into the kind of the crevices of the body. That's such a powerful way to perform self-healing and medicine, true medicine on yourself, is to just breathe with purpose. Right. Touching the earth would be another one. Those are my top 3. Touching the earth daily, sunlight on the naked body daily for 10 or 15 minutes a day, and breath work daily. And then cold exposure would be another one. The Wim Hof cold showers, or cold, like this river's cold, or a cold plunge. Our mitochondria love cold. They thrive in with cold stimulus exposure. Right. Same with heat. The extremes. We've gotten into this modern environments lifestyle where everything's very comfortable at 70 degrees. No, we're humans, man. We're supposed to be exposed to the elements. That's how we grow and thrive, and how you build character, and that's how the mitochondria in the cells develop their strength. It's being exposed to the elements. Right? We've lost that in these modern worlds, right? It's too comfortable. Everything's AC or heat, and it's like, get out in the cold, get out in the heat, expose yourself. Breathe. Being in those challenging positions where we're being pushed on, that's where we really thrive. We grow. That's what our biology wants. So those would be my first 4, just basic, to start to turn back on the human electrical system and get that going. And then you can get into food and look at different supplements and different things that you might be lacking, but and really focusing on gut health, and repairing that leaky gut condition. So, but it's those are anything. And then the movement piece, that would be the other thing, maybe like a 4-minute exercise piece that can be done. You don't need to belong to a gym. You could do that anywhere, anytime, in 4 minutes, and that releases nitric oxide. And maybe we can share that to your listeners in another, with an email or whatever, in another podcast, a short one. But those are the pieces. Those are the freebies: the sunlight, the grounding of the earth, the breath work, the movement, the cold exposure. Those are all freebies.
All free.
Massive, massive medicine right there.
Yeah.
You know, and so we got to teach as many people as we can that it doesn't need to come from some orange little pill bottle. In fact, that's the kryptonite.
Yeah.
Right?
That's going to make everything worse.
Right. So, good stuff.
Yeah. So if people, shout out to Wim Hof and Zach Busch.
Yes.
I'll post information about them in the little description. But if people want to find you, work with you. So
the website's being redone, scottestrada.com. But right now, social media, Instagram and Facebook would be the best. We've got a couple events coming up. We've got Tribe Fest here at this location right here in Sacramento, Camp Pollock, on July 28th. That's going to be an all-day celebration of the tribe and the collective health and wellness scene here locally in Sacramento and the leadership there. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of information that we talked on today, more in depth. But we'll be doing yoga and various types of yoga and sound healing and cacao ceremony and drumming and just, it's really going to be a beautiful day, and you get breakfast and lunch there. That's going to be great. I've also got a retreat happening in November on Thanksgiving with my good friend and yogi Dana Damara. It's going to be in Joshua Tree, and we're going to go over the full moon. It's going to be a gratitude full moon retreat, and we're going to dive deep into all these breath work that I'm talking about, and talking deep into gut health and mitochondrial optimization and all of that. So we'll be bringing a new type of information into a yoga retreat, which is going to be wellness, nutrition, natural law, connectivity, all of that. So that'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Oh, always so much goodness. So much goodness.
It's fun.
All right, that's another episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. Much love.